Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm doing this next series of videos all around how you can modify and adapt your communication to help you win clients. I think this is a really important aspect because business development is difficult. It is all about relationships and you are going to be dealing with a whole host of different personalities. So without some of the intel I'm going to give you, it can be hard to know how to be with all these different types of people, and you're obviously your own personality yourself. So I'm going to be going through this in 4 parts. I'm going to break it down into 4 different personality types. I'm going to go through in each one some typical things to look out for to spot what this person might be and how to communicate with them so you can then adapt your behaviour. As you're listening to this, you may hear things that you think, well actually that sounds a lot like me. Typically those will be the types of people that you'll find it easier to build relationships with. The ones that are different to you are the ones you'll probably find you have to adapt and modify the most for. I'm going to be relating this all to DISC, which some of you that have watched my videos before will have heard me talk about. It is a behavioural profiling tool that I am a specialist in. You don't need to have a huge background in DISC to understand these videos. I'm going to simplify it so it's easy to understand. Part 1, I'm going to go through the D type people. We use the colour red for these guys, and we use words to describe them like direct, decisive, demanding, dominant. So we use these kinds of descriptive words, but I'm going to go through them in more detail. I'm going to be talking in general terms. I am not saying that categorically a person with D type behaviours in their profile will be all of these things, but these are some of the things to look out for. Luckily for you, these guys are the easiest to spot because their behaviours are very strong, they're very noticeable, even things like their body language, and they're very direct with their communication. I'm going to relate this mainly to phone and email communication because that is how we tend to start communicating with our clients when we're trying to win them, when they're prospective. One of the things that D-type people don't like is waffle and fluffiness. That's the way they would term it. So if you are emailing them, they don't want loads of emojis, they don't want to hear about what you've done on your week off, they don't want loads of long paragraphs full of information. They want you to get straight to the point, give them the information and be direct. So if you're trying to book a call with them, ask them when you're free for a chat. Be direct and get to the point. Have a clear subject heading describing what you want to talk about. In the email, not a massive long introduction, a couple of paragraphs, get to the point. In fact, they love bullet points. So bullet points work really, really well. They will digest it quickly. At the end of the day, they are going to skim read that email. They will not read it word for word. Time is money to these types of people. They will probably be reading your email in a 2-minute gap between a meeting. So make sure it's clear, bullet points, straight to the point. And if you want something, ask for it. They will appreciate your direct communication. If you're receiving an email from them, and it hasn't got a hi or a speak to you soon, or maybe they've just put the answer in the subject heading, it can be easy to think, oh my God, I've pissed them off, they're in a mood with me. Not necessarily. That's just their direct communication. For example, if you put in an email, I've spoken to the candidate and they're available on Wednesday at 9, does this work for you? They're really looking forward to meeting you. They may just reply with yep, or yeah, works for me. That's it, nothing else. Don't take offence to it. Don't ever think too much into it. They are just being very direct in answering your question. This ties into if you're speaking to them on the phone as well. Get to the point, be direct about why you're wanting to speak to them, and when you are asking questions, make sure that they have a purpose. And if you are in a sales part of a call, make sure that it's tailored to what they want. Again, you get to the point and it's factual. So what they'd want is you just to give them the information, not loads of waffle around it. One thing to remember with these guys is they are very results driven, goal focused. They want to know about the end results. So if you're in a business development call, remember that that's what they might be asking you questions about, like what have you achieved? How have you helped other companies? What have the results been? And if they don't ask you about those things, when you get to maybe the sales part of your call, make sure that you are giving them stories about how you've helped people, obviously not long stories, to the point, but you are giving them data and facts about how you've helped people. Proof, basically. They're extremely competitive people. They like to win. They like to do well. If they're running a business, they want to engage with you to bring in people that are going to help their business grow. So you need to make sure that you are using that when you're talking about how you can help them. They do not like feeling like they're being taken advantage of. The slightest sniffle of it, they are likely to cut you off. They can have a tendency to do that. They might get a bit like, oh my God, I'm being taken advantage of here. I don't want to work with this agency, and it can all end in tears, and we do not want that happening. So one thing I would say is don't overpromise, don't say things that you can't deliver on. Definitely don't give them any bullshit. They will sniff through it. They're very good at spotting time wasters. They also don't like failure. Make sure that you are telling them straight about what you can help them with, almost under promise and over deliver. They will absolutely love that. One thing to remember with these types of people as well is they are natural born leaders. They love being in charge. They like to lead from the front. So they don't like being told what to do necessarily. Now, we know in recruitment that we do have to manage our clients and their processes a lot of the time, and sometimes try and guide them in the right direction. I think it's important to remember that you still need to try and do this, but it's doing it in the right way. They will believe wholeheartedly that their way is the best way. It's being to the point and straight with your communication, but also making them feel like they're in charge as well. They're part of that, they're involved in that. Always bring it back to the results. If you believe they should change something, just give them the proof that it's going to bring them a better end goal, and that's a great way to communicate it. They're natural problem solvers. They love a challenge, but they would expect you to also be a problem solver for them. So if they're using an agency that's meant to save them time, resources, all of that stuff, what they will expect is for you to come with solutions. I'm going to use this as a perfect example. Let's say you have a candidate that's accepted an offer with them. The candidate rings 2 weeks before the start date. I'm not taking it anymore. I've accepted a counter offer. I've taken something different. You can't change their mind. There's nothing you can do about it. Instead of going straight to the client and saying, right, this is what's happened, this is the problem you've got, what I would try and do and what will impress them is you go away and try and solve that problem before you go to them. That's what they would expect, because that's what they would do. So it's little things like that that will really help you win them over. One way to spot these types of clients as well is they can be quite demanding. They want to be the best at everything, right? That is their mission in life. They want to win. So they expect other people to want to be the best at what they do as well. In terms of a preference, phone or email, I would say both for these guys will work as long as you're being straight to the point. LinkedIn as well. I think all of those modes of communication will be effective. I don't think there's any one preference. I think it's just the way you communicate within those outreach methods that matters. What we've got to remember is they're always going to try and squeeze things in and do things quickly. I have this in my personality. For me, if I get a text from somebody or an email and I'm on the go, replying while I'm walking is difficult. I'm just happy to send a quick voice note because it saves me time. But if somebody sent me back a voice note and it's really long, I'm not really going to want to listen to it because it's taking up too much time. I prefer that in an email or a short voice note. When you go and meet these guys, you might get a BD meeting with them. Things like a strong handshake. Remember, they're going to have really strong body language themselves. They're not necessarily going to be smiling the whole time and really jovial and chatty. They're just not naturally those types of people. So don't, again, think, oh my God, they don't like me because they're sat there listening to your pitch, for example, with their arms crossed and just watching. They could just be listening and taking in what you're saying. It doesn't mean that they're not happy with what you're doing. If you are pitching for business and it's face to face, expect direct questions afterwards. They're going to, again, be focused on results. What have you achieved? How have you helped people? They'll want to know what the outcome could potentially be, which we know in recruitment we can never guarantee, but case studies, telling stories will work really, really well for them. So if you are pitching for business and you're doing a presentation, bring that into the meeting. If you're not pitching for business, but you're just meeting for a chat, it could be a coffee, you could be going into the office, taking things like CVs of candidates you're working with, preparing case studies of clients you've helped and you've improved their recruitment processes. They will absolutely love all of that. I could literally spend all day talking about this behaviour or all the behaviour types, but I wanted to keep this short and sweet to give you some things to help you A, spot what your client might be, and B, then know how to communicate with him or her. Because if you can modify and adapt your behaviour, you will win more clients. Just to recap, D's, red in colour. I don't mean the person is red, but it's just a way to remember it. Looking out for direct communication, somebody that's very decisive, potentially demanding, wants to lead, results focused, goal orientated, competitive, and very much straight to the point, no fluff. Keep that in mind and you will go far with these types of people. That is it for today and part one of this series of videos. Thank you so much for watching. If you are a new viewer, please hit the subscribe button and remember to turn on your notifications. I have fortnightly LinkedIn lives. I post educational videos, but I also quite often, about 3 times a week, will post shorts. So you will always get notified of my content. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you for part 2 very, very soon. Bye.